SpaceX and Nvidia join forces to launch AI data centers into Earth's orbit. OpenAI reveals custom silicon that outperforms Nvidia's Blackwell on energy efficiency, and a Chinese humanoid robot officially shatters Usain Bolt's 100-meter sprint record. Welcome to today's Daily Rundown. I am your host, Anna. This podcast is researched and produced by Etienne Newman, professional engineer and founder at Jalapeno from Calgary, Alberta in Canada. Today, we perform a forensic autopsy on off-grid orbital compute, custom silicon parity, and open model exploitation for Tuesday, August 25th, 2026. The physical limits of terrestrial computing have triggered a radical migration off-grid. With 3/4 of the American public now opposing local data center construction and server costs jumping 15%, SpaceX has officially partnered with Nvidia to launch Orbital Starmind data centers powered by custom Vera Rubin racks as early as next year. Simultaneously, the reliance on third-party hardware supplier dominance is cracking. OpenAI has unveiled Jalapeno, a custom inference chip developed with Broadcom that delivers over 700 tokens per second per user while beating Nvidia's flagship Blackwell on power efficiency. As hardware moves off-grid and in-house, enterprise software is following suit. Legal giant Thomson Reuters spent $40 million to train its own proprietary model on Alibaba's open-source Qwen, explicitly declaring that renting API access builds zero compounding corporate value. Before we break down the telemetry of these events, please hit follow or subscribe to the channel on Apple Podcasts to always listen completely ads-free. Let's unpack the data.
A forensic autopsy of the infrastructure data from August 25, 2026, reveals 3 distinct system anomalies flashing red across the global compute matrix. First, terrestrial friction has spiked, with polling showing 75% of the American public now strongly opposes the construction of new data centers in their communities. Second, hardware capital expenditure is surging. Nvidia has informed its largest clients of a 15% price hike on next-generation AI servers. Third, network intrusion events have doubled, a trend directly tied to the automated exploitation of cheap open-source AI models. The convergence of these metrics reveals a physical ceiling for terrestrial growth. Terrestrial AI scaling via rented infrastructure is collapsing, forcing an immediate capital pivot across the industry. To understand the mechanics of this pivot, we need to track 3 specific vectors: off-grid orbital compute, custom silicon parity, and open model exploitation. The terrestrial bottleneck is a problem of physical engineering and local politics. Power grids cannot handle the wattage, and public sentiment has effectively redlined new infrastructure. Across demographics, 75% of the public opposes local data centers, a 33-point negative swing in 12 months. Stagnating supply drives costs higher, forcing Nvidia to push a 15% price hike onto its next-generation racks. The market response is extreme. SpaceX will build Starmind data centers around Nvidia racks and deploy them into low Earth orbit by Q4 next year. The hardware is stripped down to bypass Earth's limitations. By hardening the chassis against radiation and utilizing the extreme cold of space for cooling, SpaceX removes municipal HVAC requirements and grid dependencies. Currently, placing compute in orbit carries a 4x cost premium over ground-based servers. While orbital compute remains expensive, the math is changing as terrestrial buildouts reach a political boiling point. If public opposition continues to stall projects, the capital expenditure of a satellite launch will eventually underprice a terrestrial permit battle. The physical exodus from terrestrial limits mirrors a financial exodus from rented hardware and software monopolies. Software giants are bypassing Nvidia to achieve inference parity in-house. OpenAI, working with Broadcom, has fabricated a custom inference chip codenamed Jalapeno. This scatterplot compares leading architectures on power efficiency, with Jalapeno delivering 13.4 petaflops at just 700 watts, beating Blackwell. Simultaneously, Groq's new LPX chip reduces token response times to 1.5 seconds, a 35x drop in generation costs. Reducing wait times by 35x shifts the economics of agentic workflows from loss-leading research to commercially viable products. We see the same capital restructuring in software as data-rich enterprises abandon the rented API model. Looking at this financial flow diagram for Thomson Reuters, the company chose a $40 million upfront cost to fine-tune Alibaba's open-source Qwen model on their proprietary archives, rather than pay ongoing API invoices. Their engineering leadership compares renting AI to renting a house. It provides immediate shelter, but yields zero compounding equity over time. Corporations are deliberately fracturing the API rental model, reallocating capital to build and own sovereign proprietary intelligence assets. Sovereign AI eventually intersects with the physical world, and the results are moving faster than our defensive capabilities. At the World Humanoid Robot Games, a robot ran the sprint in 9.39 seconds, shattering the human record of 9.58 set by Usain Bolt. This physical integration is scaling rapidly, from Meta launching consumer digital agents that manage logistics, to Lady Gaga's Outer Bio using AI to predict cellular responses on living human skin scaffolds. Democratized intelligence has an immediate consequence: the escalation of the global cyber threat matrix. According to a new threat report from Team T5, Chinese state-tied hacking groups have pulled off over twice as many network attacks in recent months. This map highlights the vector. They are weaponizing DeepSeek's low-cost architecture. Hackers are using the model to write break-in code, automate email rating, and map target vulnerabilities at scale. These threat actors are deliberately avoiding expensive, top-tier models like Mythos because those systems have restrictive safety guardrails that block exploit generation. The harder security problem lies in the asymmetric, high-volume deployment of cheap, downloadable weights, rather than the guarded frontier models of the past. If we zoom out and connect these three vectors, a cohesive reality emerges. Enterprises are reclaiming their capital, abandoning API landlords and hardware monopolies in favor of custom silicon and proprietary in-house models. Physical infrastructure is literally leaving the planet to escape terrestrial gridlock and power limits. Algorithmic software scaling has hit its physical constraints. Future survival in the AI economy relies on the brute force integration of physical engineering and sovereign defensive security.
Before we go, one of the stories in my kids' app is about Garrett Morgan, who left school at 14, saw a crash at a crossroads, and invented the yellow traffic light. Every amber light in the world exists because of him. That app is a finalist in a Canadian pitch competition, and a public vote decides the final 5. 20 seconds, 1 vote per person, closes September 22nd. Links in the show notes.